Before I start, I need you to understand something. I am not telling this story because I want attention. I am telling it because silence didn't work. If you're listening to this late at night, that's fine. If you're alone, that's better. Just don't stop halfway. Stopping makes it harder to explain what comes next. I took the janitor job because I had no other choice. That's how these things usually start. Not with curiosity, not with bravery, but with desperation. My savings were gone. My phone was 2 weeks from being shut off, and every interview I went to ended the same way. "We'll call you." They never did. So when a single-page flyer showed up taped crookedly to a bus stop bench, I didn't question it. Night janitor needed no experience required. Cash paid weekly, no questions asked. There was no company name, no phone number, just an address and a time. Midnight. I stared at that flyer longer than I should have. Something about it felt old. The paper wasn't yellowed, but it was stiff, like it had been printed years ago and kept somewhere dry and dark. The ink didn't smudge when it rained, didn't curl. It waited. I memorized the address and walked away. By the time I got home, I couldn't remember the street name, only how to get there. That should have stopped me. It didn't. The building was nowhere near where I expected. The address led me past the edge of the city, past warehouses with broken windows and rusted chain-link fences, into an industrial zone that looked like it had been abandoned mid-sentence. No cars, no streetlights, just long stretches of cracked asphalt and weeds pushing through concrete like they were trying to escape. Then I saw it. A massive structure squatting in the distance, painted a dull, sickly yellow that didn't reflect light so much as absorb it. No windows, no signage, no visible doors from the road. It didn't look abandoned. It looked unused, as if it was waiting for something specific. For me. I parked along the curb and checked my phone. No signal. Not even the emergency bars. The time read a few minutes past midnight, right on schedule. I walked the length of the building before I found the entrance. A plain metal door, unmarked, unlit. No handle, just a push plate. When I pressed it, the door opened inward without resistance. The sound it made wasn't a creak or a click. It was more like a sigh. Inside, the air was warm and stale, like a place that had been sealed too long but never quite emptied. The smell hit me next. Old carpet, cleaning chemicals, and something faintly metallic beneath it all. The hallway stretched forward farther than I could see, lit by fluorescent lights that buzzed softly overhead. The walls were the same yellow as the exterior, but here it felt worse. Too close, too uniform. No artwork, no signs, no doors, just hallway. I took one step inside, then another. The door closed behind me on its own. I didn't jump. I told myself it was on a timer, or a pressure hinge. Still, when I turned around to test it, there was no handle on this side either. The door was seamless, solid. Before panic could fully set in, a voice spoke from somewhere ahead. "You're late." A man stepped into view from around a corner, pushing a janitor's cart that looked older than the building itself. He was tall, thin, wearing a gray uniform with no logo and a name badge that was turned backward. I couldn't see his face clearly. The lights above him flickered just enough to keep his features indistinct. "Sorry," I said automatically. "Doesn't matter," he interrupted. His voice was flat, uninterested. "You're here now." He stopped the cart in front of me and reached into his pocket. When he pulled his hand out, he was holding a small laminated card. "This is all you need," he said, handing it to me. "Read it. Memorize it. Follow it." I looked down at the card. 5 rules. Numbered. Printed in simple black text. No logo. No heading. Just rules. I opened my mouth to ask questions about pay, hours, breaks, literally anything. But the man was already turning away. Oh, he added, like an afterthought. One more thing. I looked up. If you finish your shift, he said, you'll get paid. Then he disappeared around the corner, pushing the cart with him. I didn't hear his footsteps fade. They just stopped. I was alone. I stood there longer than I care to admit, staring down at that laminated card while the lights hummed overhead. My heart was beating faster than it should have, and not just because I was nervous, because something about the rules felt wrong. Not scary. Wrong. Like they weren't there to protect me. They were there to contain something else. I'll tell you the rules exactly as they were written. I still remember them word for word. Rule 1. Never clean the same hallway twice in one shift. Rule 2. If you hear footsteps matching yours, stop immediately. Rule 3. If a door appears where there wasn't one before, ignore it. Rule 4. Never acknowledge anyone who speaks to you by name. Rule 5. When the 4th chime sounds, leave everything behind and exit immediately. No explanation. No consequences listed. No warnings. Like or else. Just instructions. I laughed. Actually laughed. Because the alternative was admitting I was scared. Okay, I muttered to myself. Creepy orientation, but fine. I grabbed the cart the man had left behind. It was stocked with the basics. Mop, bucket, rags, spray bottles. All clean. All neatly arranged. Too neatly arranged. The clipboard attached to the handle held a simple checklist. Hallway numbers. All unchecked. All waiting. Hallway numbers. I looked up. There were no numbers on the walls. The first hallway was easy enough. Long, straight, carpeted in that same dull yellow pattern. The carpet wasn't dirty, not really. No stains, no trash. But the checklist demanded I mop it anyway. As I worked, I noticed something strange. No matter how far I walked, the end of the hallway never seemed to get closer. Perspective stayed off, like a bad optical illusion. Still, after several minutes of walking and cleaning, I reached a corner and turned left. Another hallway. Identical. Same carpet pattern. Same lights. Same faint stain near the wall that looked like a spill someone never finished cleaning. I froze. I knew I had seen that stain before. I checked the clipboard again. The hallway I had just finished was marked 1A. The new one was listed as 1B. Different designation. Same appearance. Okay, I whispered, though no one was there. Fine. Big building. I cleaned the second hallway, then the third. Each one felt familiar. Too familiar. By the time I reached what the checklist labeled 2C, I had stopped trusting my sense of direction. Every turn felt like a loop. Every straight stretch felt longer than the last. But I followed Rule 1 carefully. I marked each hallway only once. I did not go back. It was somewhere between hallways 3D and 4A that I heard it for the first time. Footsteps. At first, I assumed it was my own echo. The carpet was thin, the space oddly acoustical. But after a few steps, I realized something was wrong. The footsteps were too precise. Every time I stepped with my right foot, the sound followed with a right. Left foot. Left. Perfectly timed. Perfectly matched. I stopped walking. The footsteps stopped too. The silence afterward was worse than the sound. It pressed in on my ears, thick and heavy, like the building itself was listening. Rule 2 burned in my mind. If you hear footsteps matching yours, stop immediately. I didn't move. I didn't breathe louder than necessary. Seconds passed. Then more. When the sound didn't return, I convinced myself it had been nothing. Old building, weird acoustics, nerves. I took one careful step forward. No sound. Another. Nothing. I exhaled, tension draining slowly from my shoulders, and continued cleaning. Faster now, eager to stay ahead of whatever my imagination was doing to me. Behind me, the hallway felt longer than before. I didn't turn around to check. About an hour into the shift, something changed. It wasn't dramatic. No alarms. No sudden darkness. Just a door. I was halfway down a hallway I was certain had been blank wall from end to end when I noticed it. A plain gray metal door on the right side, flush with the wall. No markings. No handle. I stopped the cart. My first instinct was to check the checklist. No mention of doors. Just hallways. Rule 3 surfaced in my mind. If a door appears where there wasn't one before, ignore it. I stared at the door longer than I should have. The metal looked newer than everything else, like it had been installed recently, or like it hadn't aged at all. As I watched, the overhead light flickered. Just once. For a fraction of a second, the yellow of the hallway seemed deeper behind the doorframe. Not darker. Deeper. I swallowed and pushed the cart forward, deliberately keeping my eyes straight ahead as I passed the door. I didn't touch it. I didn't look back. Behind me, something shifted. Quietly. Carefully. As if disappointed. By the time I reached the end of my checklist, my nerves were shot. I felt watched, though every time I turned my head there was nothing there. Just more hallway. Just more yellow. Then I heard it. A voice. Soft. Close. Familiar. Saying my name. Not shouted. Not whispered. Spoken the way someone would speak to you from the other side of a cubicle wall. Casual. Certain. I stopped moving. Rule 4. Never acknowledge anyone who speaks to you by name. My heart pounded as the voice repeated it, slightly louder this time. Closer. I stared straight ahead, gripping the cart so hard my knuckles hurt. "I know you hear me," the voice said. It sounded almost amused. I didn't respond. The lights flickered again, longer this time, and when they steadied, the hallway ahead seemed tighter. Like the walls had edged closer together when I wasn't looking. The voice sighed. "Suit yourself," it said. Then it was gone. No footsteps. No echo. Just the hum of the lights and the sound of my own breathing. I don't know how long I stood there after that. Minutes. Maybe longer. Eventually, a distant sound reached my ears. A chime. Low. Resonant. Not loud, but impossible to ignore. I felt it more than I heard it. 1. My stomach dropped. I didn't know when the 4th chime would come, but suddenly, Rule 5 didn't feel like a suggestion. It felt like a deadline. And somewhere deep in the building, something had noticed that I was running out of time. The first chime faded the way a sound fades underwater. Not abruptly. Not cleanly. It lingered in my chest, vibrating against my ribs long after the hallway had returned to its steady hum. I stood there, gripping the handle of the cart, afraid that if I moved too quickly, I might trigger something worse. The laminated rules card felt heavier in my pocket now. I pulled it out and read them again, even though I already knew them by heart. I needed to convince myself that they hadn't changed when I wasn't looking. They hadn't. But the building had. The hallway ahead of me looked adjusted. The ceiling felt lower, though I couldn't say why. The lights were closer together now, buzzing louder. Their flicker no longer random, but almost rhythmic. I checked my watch. It was still working. That surprised me. Time was passing normally, at least according to the numbers on my wrist. That meant the 4th chime could come at any point. 10 minutes. An hour. I had no idea how much time this place decided a shift was supposed to last. All I knew was that I wasn't done yet. I pushed the cart forward and turned the next corner. The hallway I entered was longer than any I had seen so far. Not just visually longer, physically longer. My footsteps echoed differently here, stretching out behind me like they were reluctant to let go. The carpet pattern repeated too many times, the same stain appearing every few yards like a copied mistake. I slowed my pace. Rule 1 mattered more now than it had earlier. Never clean the same hallway twice. I started counting the lights overhead as I went, marking them mentally. 1, 2, 3. It was stupid, but it helped ground me, helped me believe that progress was happening, that I wasn't just walking in place. Somewhere around light number 14, I noticed the cart felt heavier. I looked down. The bucket was fuller than it should have been, water sloshing dangerously close to the rim. I didn't remember filling it that much. I knew I hadn't. As I watched, a ripple crossed the surface of the water, then another. I froze. The bucket wasn't moving. The ripples continued anyway, slow and deliberate, like something beneath the surface was shifting its weight. I backed away from the cart without thinking. The water stilled. No splash, no overflow, just smooth, reflective calm. I told myself not to overthink it. Old cart, bad wheels, the vibrations from my steps. Anything was better than accepting the alternative. I pushed the cart forward again. The bucket stayed still. I finished the hallway and marked it off on the clipboard, my hand shaking just enough to smear the ink. As soon as the check mark was complete, the lights above flickered in unison. Once, then steady again. I turned the corner into the next hallway and stopped short, because this one wasn't empty. Halfway down the corridor stood another janitor's cart, not mine. This one was tipped on its side, cleaning supplies scattered across the carpet. A mop lay soaked and abandoned. Its handle snapped clean in half like it had been broken over something solid. My mouth went dry. I approached slowly, every step measured. The cart looked identical to mine. Same rust spots, same bent wheel, but older somehow, like it had been used harder. Longer. On the floor beside it was a laminated card, the rules card. I crouched and picked it up. It was scratched. The edges were worn. Someone had bent it, maybe over and over again, like a nervous habit. The text was the same as mine, except for one thing. Rule 5 was smudged, not unreadable, just blurred, as if the ink had been rubbed while it was still wet, even though it was laminated. I stared at it longer than I should have. A sound behind me made my heart jump into my throat. Footsteps. Slow. Careful. Not matching mine. Yet. I straightened and spun around, expecting. I don't know what I expected. The hallway behind me was empty. The footsteps stopped. I waited. Nothing. The silence stretched until it felt like it might snap. Then, softly, from somewhere far down the hallway ahead of me, a voice spoke. Not my name. Something else. Something conversational. Did you find it too? I felt my stomach twist. Rule 4 only applied to my name. It said nothing about answering anything else. That felt intentional. I didn't respond. The voice chuckled quietly. Smart, it said. You're learning faster than I did. The lights flickered again. Longer this time. When they came back on, the tipped cart was gone. So was the broken mop. The hallway was empty, clean, untouched, like it had never been disturbed at all. But the rules card was still in my hand. Proof that someone else had been here, and that they hadn't made it out cleanly. The second chime sounded not long after that. I was mopping another hallway when I felt it. Felt, not heard. Like a pressure change deep in my ears. The sound rolled through the building, low and resonant, and when it faded, the air felt heavier. Closer. I leaned against the cart and tried to steady my breathing. 2 chimes down. Whatever happened at the 4th, I was halfway there. I forced myself to keep moving. That was when the door started multiplying. Not appearing suddenly. Not exactly. It was more subtle than that. A door where I thought there had been a blank wall. Another one farther down, then another around a corner. Different styles, different materials. All wrong. I ignored them all. Rule 3. As long as I didn't acknowledge them, didn't touch them, they didn't seem to do anything. They just existed. Silent. Waiting. But it became harder to avoid looking at them when they started showing up directly in my path. I turned a corner and nearly walked straight into one. This door was wooden, painted yellow to match the walls. No frame, no handle. Just a flat slab embedded into the corridor like it had grown there. As I stopped short, the surface of the door rippled. Not much, just enough to notice. Like the bucket earlier. I took a step back. The rippling stopped. I went around it, pressing myself against the opposite wall, and continued down the hallway without looking back. Behind me, something made a sound that might have been a sigh. It wasn't long after that when I realized the hallways were starting to repeat out of order. I marked off 6A, turned a corner, and found myself in 4C. I knew because the stain pattern was wrong, because the flicker timing was wrong, because I remembered cleaning this one earlier. My chest tightened. Rule 1 was clear. Never clean the same hallway twice. But what if the building forced you to? What if it looped you back without telling you? I checked the clipboard frantically. 4C was already marked. I stood there, heart racing, staring at the familiar stretch of yellow carpet while the lights buzzed overhead. If I turned back, I risked looping further. If I moved forward, I risked breaking the rule. That was when the footsteps started again. This time, they weren't behind me. They were ahead. Slow, measured, approaching. I backed up instinctively and bumped into something solid. Not a wall, a cart. My cart. It was behind me, blocking the hallway I had come from. I stared at it, confused. I hadn't turned around. I hadn't pushed it there. The footsteps grew louder, closer, matching my breathing now. Rule 2. If you hear footsteps matching yours, stop immediately. I stopped. Everything stopped with me. The lights went out, not flickered. Out. In the darkness, I could hear breathing. Not mine. It was calm, patient, waiting for me to move. I didn't. Seconds passed, maybe minutes. Then the lights snapped back on all at once. The hallway ahead was empty. The hallway behind me was open. My cart was beside me again, where it should have been. The clipboard slipped from my fingers and hit the floor with a soft clatter. I bent to pick it up and noticed something new written at the bottom of the page. Not printed. Written. In cramped, hurried handwriting. Don't trust the order. The building listens. My throat tightened. I didn't recognize the handwriting, but I knew who had written it. The janitor whose cart I had found earlier. The one who hadn't made it. The 3rd chime came sooner than I expected. Too soon. It resonated through the walls like a warning shot, deeper and longer than the others. When it faded, the lights dimmed permanently, settling into a dull, oppressive glow. The building felt closer now, not physically, intentionally. I could feel attention pressing in from every direction, like unseen eyes tracking my movement through the corridors. And then, my name, spoken clearly. right behind me. Rule 4 slammed into my mind. Never acknowledge anyone who speaks to you by name. I didn't turn around. I didn't respond. The voice laughed softly. That rule won't save you much longer, it said. It's already learned how you think. My pulse hammered in my ears. The voice leaned closer. I could feel breath against the back of my neck, warm, controlled. You're counting chimes now, it continued. You think the 4th is the end? I clenched my fists. I did too. The voice stepped back. When it comes, it said, almost kindly, run. The lights flickered violently, plunging the hallway into darkness again. And when they came back on, I was alone. But the message lingered. Because for the first time since I had arrived, I understood something terrible. The rules weren't there to keep you safe. They were there to slow you down, to keep you functional, until the building decided it was done with you. And somewhere deep within the yellow corridors, the 4th chime was getting closer. After the 3rd chime, the building stopped pretending it was just a place. Before that, everything had felt procedural. Hallways, rules, routines. Even the fear had structure. A rhythm. Something I could almost manage by staying careful and obedient. That illusion didn't survive the silence that followed the 3rd chime. The hum of the lights dropped in pitch, sinking into a deeper vibration that I felt in my teeth. The air thickened, not with heat or cold, but with pressure, like standing too close to something massive that didn't need to move to remind you it was there. I pushed my cart forward, slower now, every sense tuned, sharp. That was when I noticed the walls breathing. Not visibly, not rising and falling the way a chest would, but subtly. The yellow paint seemed to pulse, the color deepening and fading in time with the low vibration in the air. I told myself it was the lighting, the strain of my eyes. I didn't believe it. I turned a corner and nearly collided with someone. I yelped and stumbled back, heart slamming, mop clattering against the cart. The man in front of me barely reacted. He stood there staring at me with wide, bloodshot eyes, his hands gripping the handle of his cart so tightly his knuckles were white. He looked older than me, mid-40s maybe, but exhausted in a way that went deeper than lack of sleep. Another janitor, a real one. Relief flooded me so fast it almost knocked me over. "You two," he whispered. I hesitated. The rules flashed through my mind, but none of them said I couldn't speak first. None of them said I couldn't acknowledge someone who didn't know my name. "Yeah," I said quietly. "How long have you—" "Doesn't matter," he cut in sharply. "Don't tell me. Don't tell anyone anything personal." His eyes darted to the walls, the ceiling, the empty hallway behind me. "It listens," he said. "It learns patterns. The more it knows about you, the faster it adapts." That matched the warning on the clipboard. I swallowed. "Have you heard the chimes?" He flinched at the word. "I'm past the 3rd, he said. "I don't know how much time I have left." That made my chest tighten. "What happens at the 4th? His mouth opened, then closed. He shook his head slowly. "I don't know. No one who hears it long enough sticks around to explain." A chill ran through me. Before I could ask anything else, his eyes fixed on something over my shoulder. "You shouldn't have come this way," he whispered. I turned. Behind me, the hallway had changed. Where there had been a straight stretch of yellow carpet before, there was now a branching intersection. 3 corridors splitting off at sharp, unnatural angles. The lights above each path flickered at different rates, like competing pulses. I turned back to the man. Was this? He was gone. No footsteps, no fading sound, just empty hallway. His cart sat where he'd left it though, upright, perfectly still. I approached cautiously. The bucket was overflowing, water spilling silently onto the carpet, and vanishing as soon as it touched the fibers, like the floor was drinking it. On the clipboard, attached to his cart, I saw the checklist, almost full. Only one hallway left unchecked. At the bottom, written in the same cramped handwriting I'd seen earlier, was a single line. If you see someone else, it's already too late for one of you. I backed away, slowly, carefully. I did not take his cart. I did not look down the branching hallways again. I turned and went the opposite direction, my heart pounding. Behind me, I thought I heard footsteps. I did not check. From that point on, the building grew aggressive. Hallways shortened without warning. Turns led back to places I knew I had already passed, but twisted just enough to make me doubt myself. The stains on the carpet shifted positions. The lights buzzed louder when I stopped moving, quieter when I hurried. It wanted me tired. It wanted me careless. Doors began appearing closer together now, sometimes 3 or 4 in a single corridor. Different sizes, different materials. Some looked old and splintered, others smooth and metallic. One of them whispered. Not a voice exactly. More like air moving through a narrow space, shaping itself around syllables I couldn't quite understand. I ignored it. I ignored all of them. Rule 3 was the easiest rule to follow now, because every instinct I had was screaming not to touch anything new. The third chime had done something else too. It had changed the feel of time. My watch still ticked. The seconds still moved forward. But my body felt out of sync, like I was lagging behind my own movements. Sometimes I'd reach for the mop and feel it in my hand before I remembered deciding to grab it. Other times, I'd think about turning and find myself already facing a different direction. That was when I started finding the gaps, places where the building had removed something and failed to replace it. A hallway with a stretch of wall missing, not replaced by a door or another corridor, just a blank absence that hurt to look at. The edges were wrong, like a bad cut in a photograph. I stopped several feet away, heart racing. The air near the gap felt colder, thinner. Sound bent around it, footsteps echoing strangely when I shifted my weight. Against my better judgment, I rolled a cleaning rag toward it. The rag slid across the carpet and vanished the moment it crossed the boundary. No sound, no movement, just gone. I didn't retrieve it. I marked the hallway as complete and moved on, my hands trembling. The footsteps returned an hour later. This time, they didn't try to match me. They followed. Slow at first, then closer, always just out of sight. I turned corners quickly, testing them, and the footsteps adjusted smoothly, never colliding with mine, never retreating, like they were learning how I moved. I stopped abruptly. The footsteps took one more step, then stopped too. I held my breath. The lights dimmed. In the reflection of a glossy section of wall, I saw movement behind me. Not a shape, a distortion. Like heat rising off asphalt, but vertical. Standing? Waiting. I didn't turn around. Rule 2 only applied when the footsteps matched mine. But nothing said what to do when they didn't. So I did the only thing I could think of. I pushed the cart forward and walked. Fast. The footsteps resumed immediately, speeding up to keep pace. I turned left, then right, then left again, moving through hallways without checking numbers, without marking them off. The building responded by tightening, corridors narrowing, corners sharpening. The footsteps grew heavier, closer. Breathing joined them, controlled, deliberate, almost calm. I could feel it now, a presence pressing at my back, close enough that the air between us felt compressed. My name was spoken again. Clear, confident, right behind my ear. Rule 4. I didn't respond. The voice sighed. "You're making this difficult," it said. "Most of you do." The footsteps stopped. I nearly ran into the wall ahead as the hallway ended abruptly in a dead end. No turn, no door, just yellow wall. I spun around, heart hammering. The hallway behind me stretched longer than it should have, far longer, and at the far end stood something that had learned how to look almost human. Almost. It stood upright, proportioned correctly, wearing a gray uniform like mine, like the supervisor's. But its face was wrong, too smooth, too unfinished. The features shifted slowly, like someone trying to remember what a face was supposed to look like without ever having one themselves. It took a step forward. I stopped breathing. Another step. The lights overhead flickered violently. Then, a chime. The third chime again. Louder this time. Deeper. The thing paused, its head tilted, as if listening to something I couldn't hear. Then it stepped back. The hallway snapped back to normal length. The thing was gone. I slid down the wall and sat on the carpet, shaking. The third chime wasn't just a marker. It was a boundary. Something even the building respected. When I finally stood and continued, the building felt irritated, like I had slipped out of a trap it had already committed to. The hallways grew harsher. The lights flickered constantly now, strobing just enough to mess with depth perception. My cart rattled even on smooth carpet, wheels squealing in protest. That was when I found the room. Not a hallway. A room. It was wide, open, and low-ceilinged, filled with rows of identical janitor carts, all neatly lined up. Dozens of them. Maybe more. Some were newer. Others were ancient, rusted beyond use. Against the far wall was a pile of personal items. Shoes, jackets, wallets, watches. Things people had been wearing when they came in. My stomach twisted. I recognized one of the jackets. It was the other janitor's, the one who had warned me about sharing information. I didn't step inside the room. I didn't need to. I understood. This place didn't kill you. It repurposed you. The carts weren't tools. They were placeholders. I backed away slowly. That was when the lights in the room went out all at once, plunging it into darkness so complete it felt solid. Something moved inside. I ran. The third chime had faded, but its warning lingered. I was running out of room, running out of options. And somewhere deep within the building, something was preparing for the fourth chime. Not as an ending, but as a collection point. After the room of carts, I stopped thinking of the building as a place. It was something else now. A system, a mechanism, a process that didn't care whether I understood it or not. I didn't go back the way I came. I didn't trust back anymore. Direction itself felt unreliable, like the building could rotate my choices without moving anything physical. Every hallway now looked slightly reused, like copies of copies. The carpet patterns didn't align properly anymore. The lights didn't just flicker. They hesitated, as if deciding whether I was still supposed to be here. My cart felt heavier again, not physically, conceptually, like something had been added to it that didn't belong to me. I didn't check. I just kept moving, because somewhere ahead of me, the fourth chime was coming, and everything I had learned up to this point was only useful if I reached the exit before it did. I found the first sign of the exit by accident, a hallway where the yellow paint had faded into something closer to beige. The lights were steadier here, less aggressive. The hum was softer, almost distant. It felt wrong in a different way. Not hostile, controlled. That was worse. I slowed down. The walls here were cleaner. Not recently cleaned. Consistently maintained. No stains. No repeated patterns. No subtle shifts when I blinked. And for the first time since entering the building, I noticed something new. The arrows. Not yellow spray paint. Not markings on walls. But embedded strips of light along the base of the corridor, glowing faintly in a soft amber tone. They pointed forward. I hesitated. The original rules never mentioned this kind of guidance, but everything in me said the same thing. This is the way out. I followed them. The deeper I went, the quieter the building became. The oppressive hum faded until it was barely noticeable. The light stabilized. Even the air changed, less thick, more neutral. But that didn't mean safety. It meant transition. The kind of calm that happens right before something ends. I checked my watch, still working, but the seconds felt delayed. Like time was being observed rather than experienced. That's when I heard it. The fourth chime. Not loud, not distant, not even directional. It happened everywhere at once. The sound didn't travel through the building. It defined it. For a moment, everything stopped. The lights froze mid-flicker. My cartwheel stopped vibrating. Even my own breathing felt paused, like the world had pressed mute on itself. Then, movement returned. But the building was different now. It was no longer watching. It was deciding. The hallway ahead shifted, subtly at first, then violently. Walls retracted and expanded like breathing lungs. The amber lights flickered into white, then red, then nothing at all before stabilizing again. I started moving faster, not running yet. Running meant panic, and panic meant mistakes. Mistakes meant I wouldn't make it out. Behind me, I heard footsteps, not matching mine, not following, intercepting. I didn't turn around. Rule logic no longer mattered here. Everything felt like it was being rewritten in real time. The hallway split, then split again, then again. I picked the straightest path I could see and committed. The arrows changed. The amber strips began blinking, one by one, like they were counting down. I reached a door, not the kind I'd seen before. This one was large, industrial, reinforced metal with no visible handle or seam. The frame around it was embedded into the corridor like it had always been there. But above it, a sign. Not printed, not painted. Exit access. I stopped in front of it. My entire body resisted the idea of touching it, because nothing about this place ever gave exit freely. It had rules, costs, conditions. I checked the cart. Still there, still real. Behind me, the footsteps stopped. Everything became quiet again. Too quiet. I reached for the door, and that's when the voice returned. Not behind me this time, not beside me. Inside the hallway itself. "You're early," it said. I froze. The building had never spoken like this before. Not directly, not clearly. The voice continued. The fourth cycle was not complete. I swallowed hard. "I didn't choose the timing," I said quietly. A pause. Then, "You learned incorrectly," it replied. The door vibrated slightly, as if reacting to the conversation. Behind me, something shifted in the hallway. Slow, heavy, closer. I didn't look. The rules didn't matter anymore. But memory did. I remembered Rule 5. When the fourth chime sounds, leave everything behind and exit immediately. Everything. That meant the cart, the tools, the checklist, the proof. I looked down at it. For a second, I hesitated, because letting go meant I might never explain what happened here. But keeping it meant I might never leave at all. The footsteps behind me started again, closer, This time, they weren't trying to match me. They were accelerating. I let go of the cart. It rolled backwards slowly, then stopped. The moment I released it, the hallway behind me changed, like something had lost interest. The footsteps stopped, completely. The silence returned. The voice didn't speak again. I placed my hand on the exit door. It was warm, not hot, not cold, just active. Like something on the other side was aware of me. I pushed. The door resisted for a moment. Not physically, conceptually. Like the building was deciding whether I was allowed to pass. Then, it gave way. The light on the other side was unbearable. Not bright, just normal. And that normality hurt more than anything I had experienced inside. I stepped through. The air changed instantly. The hum was gone. The yellow was gone. The weight in my chest disappeared so suddenly I nearly collapsed. I was outside. The industrial building stood behind me exactly as I remembered it from the outside. Silent, windowless, unchanged. No indication of what was inside. No acknowledgement of what I had just survived. I turned back toward the door. It was gone. Just a blank wall. No seam. No handle. No evidence it had ever existed. I should have felt relief, but I didn't, because I noticed something else. My watch had stopped at exactly the moment I stepped out. Not broken. Paused. The second hand frozen between ticks. I stared at it for a long time. Then I looked back at the building, and I realized something I still don't fully understand. There were no entrances visible from the outside. Not anymore. Just walls. Smooth, uninterrupted concrete. Like the building had never invited anyone in at all. I walked away before I could convince myself to go back. That was the only correct decision I made that night. Now, if you're still listening, there's something you should know. I didn't quit the job. The job ended, because I was the last one to come out before the cycle closed. And cycles always close. The building doesn't stay in one place forever. It moves, not physically, structurally. And when it does, it forgets the people inside it. Or maybe it doesn't. Maybe it just resets the rules. Either way, if you ever find a place that feels slightly too organized, slightly too quiet, slightly too empty for how normal it looks, don't go in looking for answers. Because the answers are not inside the building. They are what the building uses to decide whether you leave. I don't go near industrial zones anymore. And if I ever see a place that looks like it's waiting for someone, I keep walking. Because I already learned what happens when you answer.